Jordan Lawler is back. The Arizona Diamondbacks have officially given him the call back to the major leagues. He leads the way of our featured must-add players on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, joined by my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Lange. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It's going to subscribe you to the channel and give you notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on the audio side of things on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us as well. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Matt, he's here. He's back. The man, the myth, the legend, Jordan Lawler, shortstop, Arizona Diamondbacks #1 prospect. Matt, tell the people why they should or shouldn't add him. Well, I guess it's a must add, so why they should add him. You might be muted, my brother. I don't know. At least I can't hear you.
There we go. I was just, of course. So thank you for setting me up for failure. We're trying to say why they should or should not.
Yeah, no, that was my bad. That was my bad.
It's all good. Don't let it happen again. Come on now. Well, let's talk about him. I like him a lot. I don't know what to expect from him. Obviously, what his first, look at the bigs kind of looked like was kind of ugly. I honestly felt like I was looking at Kelnick or Kalenic or however you say the man's name, because he just could not cut it when he got to the bigs. But who knows? Maybe the second time around is really what he needed. He got called up when he was 21, and maybe he just wasn't ready for the bigs, and that happens, right? Guys just get a shot and then things just don't pan out. So this year, before getting the call, he looked really good, right? 152 at bats, 38 runs, 15 doubles, 2 triples, 6 bombs, 31 ribs, 13 stolen bases, batting .336. And I like the 18 walks to 39 strikeouts. Everything about it is screaming, hey, he should probably do better in the bigs this year. Even with an OPS of 992, I really just like all the peripherals. Things are kind of adding up. It's just, what can we expect from him? I'm not going to have too high of expectations, but I feel like he's a must add because of the prospect pedigree and the upside. He could be a 30 stolen base guy. He could hit you probably 20 to 25 home runs. Not this year, obviously. We'll probably see about 17, if that. But I think the stolen bases are definitely legit. Batting average, he's always been a good, batting average guy in the minors. This year's an exception. Even though last year's batting about 318, previous years is about 278 hitter, but I'll take any of that, right? Like 278, 318, 290. It's all same thing at the end of the day. So I'm going to add him, immediately. I wouldn't say the #1 name on the list, but damn near up there. Lawler is just somebody that, quite honestly, needs to be added just based off of the upside that he could possibly bring. But I'm also going to have a very short leash with him as well.
Yeah, man, I love Jordan Lawler. I think, like you said, it's probably one of those pause the podcast moments and see if he's out there in any of your leagues. Once again, Arizona Diamondbacks shortstop prospect Jordan Lawler, who we're talking about here. He's got pop. He's got more speed than pop, which speaks about the speed because he's got decent pop. The hit tool's strong. Matt, you broke down the kind of player he can be. He can contribute in all 5 categories, honestly, if he gets a nice little spot in this lineup in Arizona, which, they're a pretty good team over there. So, yeah, Matt, you broke him down good. Don't really have too much to say. Otherwise, he's a really strong must-add guy. Pause the podcast, see if he's out there in your leagues. Yeah, I'd even go as far as say 10-man leagues. If he's out there and you got a decent bench in your 10-man, look his way. 35% owned Jordan Lawler on Yahoo at the moment. Go out there and add him. He can have a big impact for fantasy purposes. Let's move over to this next guy. It's a New York Yankee, and it's Trent Grisham. With Jazz Chisholm going down, Grisham has had a chance to play a little bit more, and he's still actually been pretty solid. On the year, Grisham, through his 33 games played, has a 276 batting average, 21 runs, 10 homers, and 20 RBIs. It's crazy. A long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Trent Grisham was a top prospect back, I believe it was with the Padres, if I'm not mistaken.
It was.
And he was a pretty solid young prospect, never really panned out over there, moved around a little bit, came over to the Yankees this year, wasn't really playing too much at the beginning of the year because there's a lot of mouths to feed over there with the Yankees, but with that Jazz Chisholm injury has been sitting a lot less, and he still had an impact. He's got a little bit of power, and he's been leading off pretty consistently. Otherwise, hitting second here and there. But like I said, a lot of pop, not really much of a speed guy. So if you're looking for speed, probably don't look his way. But 34% owned on Yahoo is Trent Grisham, a guy who's leading off for a really, really good team. Go out there and add him now. I know we were a little bit skeptical about at the beginning of the year with Grisham, but he's playing. He's playing, and he's still producing. He's still hitting home runs. He's still driving in runs. Go out there and grab him.
Yeah, no, he's a great name to talk about because it's what do you do with him? Can he continue this? That's the real question. Right now, I'm just willing to ride the hot streak. That's just kind of where I'm at with it. If he ends up panning out, that's great. But I mean, he's just been good for since the season pretty much is open. Whenever he got a shot to play, now he's playing full time. I'm enjoying the Baseball Savant page is also supporting his play too. I mean, you look at his average exit velocity, how consistent he is with that, swinging at almost 92 miles an hour, barreling at, 16% of the time, creating hard contact, almost 50% of the time. Everything is great in those regards. So let's see if this thing can continue. So far it looks like it can, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Short leash, he starts dropping. So that's exactly what you do. But as long as he's keeping going, he keeps us going for another 2 weeks, then my statement is going to be irrelevant after that. But let's move on. Let's talk about Hunter Goodman of the Colorado Rockies. Catcher and outfield eligibility, 53% owned. So we've been talking about him for weeks, pretty much since opening day. And he's somebody that, at this point, if you don't have him, you're making a grave mistake. Quite honestly, you need to. Normally, Dom and I don't even roster two catchers, but we ended up with Ivan Herrera. Ivan Herrera obviously went down, picked up Goodman, and just been rolling with Goodman. Now we can't drop either because Herrera's just Herrera, and Goodman's just been so good. It's so good, man. Oh, no pun intended. But look, the last week, 5 runs, a bomb, 7 ribs, batting 346. He's batting 288 on the season, even on the month, 316 with 17 runs, 4 bombs, 19 ribs. He's just doing his thing. And you got to love it. And especially when he's playing at home, you really don't want to miss out on it. There's still catchers out there that aren't living up to it. So add him now and just play him. And, what's the worst that happens too? Your good catcher starts playing well, and then Goodman's still playing as this quality is. Throw him in your UT. I think he's actually even worthy of UT. So Goodman, add cheat code to catcher.
Yeah, still only 53% owned Goodman with the huge week last week. Over his last 3 games even, it's 7 hits with a homer, 6 RBIs, and 5 runs. He's just been on fire. On the year, Goodman, through his 38 games played, 288 batting average, 21 runs, 6 homers, 24 RBIs. He's been one of the best catchers in all of the game. And I will say this, though. I want to preface this with Hunter Goodman. Probably a sell high. I don't think he's going to be this good the rest of the year. The underlying stuff doesn't support what he's doing, but then again, he does play in cores. So, I mean, if Goodman winds up being a 260 guy with 25 homers and decent counting stats, yeah, sure, he's going to be good. But that still means he's going to have a little slump somewhere at some point because I don't think he keeps up the 288 batting average. I think the power's there. The counting stats are going to be decent, hitting cleanup for Colorado. It's not going to be great because they're not a great team, but hitting cleanup will still get you the 75 RBI, 70-ish runs with Goodman. Sell high if you can, because there's a lot of teams that need catchers. But guys, with that being said, we got a couple of more bats for you. Another call up, but this one is a guy who is a surprising call up. And then we move into the pitchers, and there's been some great performances of late. So we have some great names and more coming up next. And all right, the NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Which players are showing up in the biggest moments, and how could tracking their trends help you build your next bet? What would it look like to combine live prop bets mid-game based on how the action unfolds? And if you've got a read on who's heating up, why not back it up with the same game parlay? How could a $200 in bonus bets add to the excitement if your first $5 bet hits? And all right, guys, we'll talk about that $5 bet. Knicks have looked fantastic. I love Jalen Brunson, points, assists. Middle playing great. And I just love the Knicks overall in general. And then my other sneaky one is the Nuggets. I know they're in a tight race over there with the OKC Thunder, but I think they're going to pull that one out. So Knicks, Nuggets, that's who I'm going with. So if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 of bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. And all right, folks, real quick before we get back into the action, if you like Matt and I, what we do here, real quick, why don't you? Yeah, so you got to join us on the insider track, right? That's where you're going to get that competitive edge, that advantage over your league. We're giving you those prospect call-up alerts, and there's so many big names coming soon, like Andrew Painter, Roman Anthony, Marcelo Mayer, and more. And we're going to get you those notifications so you can pick up these guys before the rest of your league. And then when we do these episodes like our waiver wire, we're going to rank these names for you, tell you how you should prioritize picking them up. Gives you that little secret weapon. And then if you just got general questions, you can ask us on the insider track too, and you will find the link in the bio wherever you're listening or watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. And all right, Matt, let's keep things pushing here. It's a lot of talking for me, my brother. Why don't you take this next one? Don't mind.
Sure, no problem. So we got Jake Cronenworth of the Padres. I believe he's still there. Yeah.
Sure.
And I like Cronenworth. The only thing about him is I don't know how relevant he is for all leagues, right? He's more of like a deeper league play, like 12-man and up, and if not even just 15-man league. I don't really believe in like the full wholehearted talent. He's really just a Swiss Army knife that you can kind of slot in everywhere. So the priority for me at least is low. So far on the season before getting hurt, 45 at bats, 11 runs, 2 doubles, 3 bombs, 9 ribs, 11 walks to 10 strikeouts, batting 267. Like great for points leagues and things like that. But you look at his passing, you just go, okay, like he's just the picture of mediocrity, right? Last year, 577 at bats, 72 runs, 29 doubles, 3 triples, 17 home runs, 83 ribs, 5 stolen bases, batted a nice 241. Look, he's better for points leagues than he is for like head-to-head categories leagues, things like that. I just don't really feel like for any kind of shallow league or anything of the sort like that, like even 12-man league, he's really worth an ad just based off of that, unless you have some like weird contrarian kind of like league where you have some like some weird things, then he kind of like his other stats kind of play up. But other than that, he really just does not have the true value. But right now he's hot with the 4 runs, the bomb, 4 ribs, batting 300 since his return. So I just add him now, ride the wave while he's hot since he's 33% owned. But again, more of a deep league play than anything else. That's where he's going to have long-term value. Other than that, just ride that wave and say dip out.
Yeah, man, good take on Cronenworth. I think he could be sneaky decent in batting average if you look at the underlying stuff. He could hit 260 in a good year. He's done it before, but I'm not counting on it. A little bit of pop. He can get you some runs and RBIs. He's hitting 6th in that Padres lineup, so the RBIs are probably going to be better than the runs. He's okay. Matt, great breakdown. Cronenworth is 33% owned on Yahoo. He has first and second eligibility, so that's actually corner and middle infield. So, in those kinds of leagues, he can play there, but not a lot of upside here. We know who Cronenworth is at this point in his career, 31 years old. Gives you a little bit of everything, but doesn't really specialize in one specific category. Let's move on to this next guy. Let's talk about that. This is the guy I was talking about before. He's coming back. It's Jake Burger. man, you know what? I will say this. A lot of us in the industry kind of call this one with Berger. He was somebody who actually, when we first looked at it, went over to Texas, like, oh, it could be interesting. And then you dive deeper, and there's not really much, wasn't really much there with Berger. It's just power. And if he's not hitting the home runs, not really giving you much at all. He was struggling through his first 30 at-bats this year. With those Texas Rangers. Once again, 3 homers, 12 RBIs, 190 batting average, 3 walks to 32 strikeouts. Berger had just been abysmal, has been better down in the minors. Like I said, been a little bit better. Hold on. I guess my computer wants to work with me here. Down in the minors this year, it was 6 games, couple of homers. Actually was hitting 391, so that's actually stellar for Jake Berger. But a guy like Berger, would we expect him to go down there and dominate, AAA like he was. But hey, listen, if he gets it rocking and rolling, there's power in that bat. I think it could play up here. This lineup in, Texas is pretty solid for Berger. Curious to see. Oh, actually, here we go. He's hitting 7th in his debut as we're recording here on May 12th. Definitely interesting to see. 38% owned, 1st and 3rd on Yahoo. If you need someone that can slug and get you some RBIs, I'd look Jake Berger's way. Definitely like we were talking about earlier with Cronenworth, probably not playing him everywhere in your 12s and deeper. You can look Jake Berger's way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I like Jake Berger just for the next 2 days. So for today and tomorrow, for when you're listening to this, he's playing in Colorado in Coors Field. That's kind of big for me. Then they play the Astros, which the pitching hasn't fully scared me. But it's still essentially a tougher matchup. But hey, if Berger can turn it around, I wouldn't mind getting benefiting from the power numbers that are available and things like that. Just don't count on them for anything else, essentially. But I'm going to move on. Dom, you did a great job. Let's talk about Ronald Blanco of the Houston Astros. Blanco is somebody that, he's like my guilty pleasure, but like this year he's been like kind of pretty disappointing coming to the start of the season. So, take this as you will, but the last 2 starts have been pretty decent. Cincinnati, he completely blew the covers off of, 8 innings, a win, 11 strikeouts, no earned run, 2.38 whip. Went against Milwaukee, went 6 deep, 6 Ks, 4.5 ERA with a 1.5 whip. That's a little rough, but not bad. Got lit up against Detroit, but then handled Toronto really nicely. And then it's just been ups and downs all throughout the season. But the next start is coming up against the Rangers. Rangers are so hit or miss. They'll either put up 600 points or they'll put up no points. And the volatility is kind of a thing. So for me, he's a name that we need to mention because he could have a good outing, but at the same time, it could or could not be dangerous for you and your team. So with Blanco, I'm approaching it like this, right? Blanco, since he's starting on Saturday, if my team is in a rough spot and I just need strikeouts, I'm rolling him out there. If there's better options out there, or if I could be a little bit more conservative with my ads and protect my ERA and statistical numbers, and I don't really need the strikeouts, then I'm probably going to pass on them. So if anything, stash him for the beginning of the week. And then if you decide not to, drop him on Saturday and do this really, really shady move that I like to do sometimes where you drop him on Saturday so nobody can start him up against you on Saturday as well. So, it's just something you could do. But, it is what it is. It's part of the game. So Blanco, add if you need him, like desperately. If not, then just move on and just forget about him.
You know what the funny thing is, Matt, you were more of a Blanco guy than I was coming into the year, but I'm kind of liking what we've been seeing from him from late. You talk about that Texas start coming up this weekend. After that, it looks like he gets Seattle, which has been a not a great team to this year. So I think he could go out there and handle them too. So his 2 next starts might be decent, but I want to talk about his last 4. I want to talk about Ronald Blanco's last 4 starts. 3-1 over that stretch, 25 innings, 26 strikeouts, sub-1 whip, 2.45 ERA, and batters have hit 157 against him over that time. I don't think he's going to be, dominant for the rest of the year, but can he be useful? He's pretty solid last year. He could be a mid-3s ERA guy around a K per 9. When he's dealing like he was in his last start that you talked about, Matt, 8 innings, 11 strikeouts, when that Blanco's out there and the whip's looking good and the control's looking good, as it has looked over the last 4 starts, I like him. He could be useful. 48% owned on Yahoo, pitches for those Houston Astros. Wins could be a little shaky, but he won 3 out of his last 4. So I like Blanco. Go out there, Adam. Let's see how those next 2 starts look. But guys, coming up next, we're talking about Ranger Suarez, Andrew Abbott, and a couple of more sneaky ads for you guys. Those names and more coming up next. And all right, guys, we are back here. Matt, you want to take this next guy? Should I take him? He's actually a Philly. I think you should talk about him.
All right, sounds good. It's Mr. Ranger Suarez of the Phillies. And you know what? Suarez's first start out after coming off the injury was kind of rough, but then had a really, really good start this last outing against Cleveland. Went 7 deep, no earned runs, a .57 whip, 5 Ks, got the win. Looked real nice. Even got the quality start. Everything was just really good for him. The first outing against Arizona, I think was just a fluke. It was kind of like, let's shake off that rust kind of type deal. I watched the game. Funny enough, he looked sharp when he had his bright moments, but he just had a moment of just like lapse, and then they just kind of took advantage and kind of dropped 11 points on them. But it is what it is. I think Suarez is going to be fine for the rest of the year. 43% owned. It's kind of like just time to add him. Look at what he did last year, where he had 150 innings, 12 Ks, 145 strikeouts, a 3.46 ERA with a 1.2 WHIP. Suarez is definitely somebody that's impressive. You look at even everything he did in his 2 outings, just in the underlying stats department. Average exit velocity is super suppressed at 85.85.5 miles per hour. Getting guys to chase 34% of the time so far, striking out guys at 25% of the time, barely walking guys at only 7% of the time. Really, really, really just depleting the barreling at 0%. Really just depleting hard contact in total because only 27.6% of the time, and producing ground balls. All things not only do you need to be successful as a pitcher in any stadium, but specifically in the Citizen Bank Park, where there's a little bit of a shorter porch and things like that. So Suarez is just doing all kinds of good things. He's known for that kind of gameplay. He'll never be like a K per inning kind of guy, but he'll definitely be an efficient pitcher that goes out there, puts good ERA, good whip, and will get you right under a K per inning, and you'll be happy about it every time. So Ranger Suarez is a must add for me.
Yeah, like Suarez. I'll just say this about him. He's such a frustrating pitcher to own. He goes on these really great stretches where he legit goes like 5-6 starts and just looks like an ace. And then he'll give you 2 or 3 blow up starts. And I feel like it's that kind of trend.
Hangs out with Aaron Nola.
I was going to say almost reminiscent of a Dylan Cease, too. He reminds me of Dylan Cease, just so frustrating to own because they go on these stretches where they just look like aces and then they blow it up in your face for 2 or 3 starts. But Matt, you broke Ranger Suarez down well. A mid-3 ERAs kind of guy, right under that K per 9. Struggles with the control. He's a career 1.28 whip guy, so I really don't expect a strong whip from him. But he can win games with those Phillies, give you a good ERA, and have some good strikeout games. So I like Ranger Suarez. He's only 43% owned on Yahoo. Let's go out there and add him now. Let's move on to this next guy. Somebody that I've liked for a long time, Mr. Andrew Abbott. He's been solid, been pretty good this season. Couple of bad starts here and there. So he's actually pitching today as you guys are listening to this. If you got same day ads, go out there and add him. Definitely make that sneaky move. He's pitching against the White Sox in this one. So wish we could have got him to you a day earlier, but you know what? For those same day ads, people snag him. And if he's out there in your league, I'll say this: add him before the start. If you're catching this earlier in the day, this could be one of those starts where Abbott goes out there and gives you, a 10 strikeout, 6-inning performance, good whip, wins the game, right? And then, you don't have him, and that's it. He gets picked up. He's 41% owned, up 5% over the last day. I could see him going from 41 to 61 real quick if this White Sox start goes good for him. He's a guy who could strike guys out if he wants to. He's got good enough stuff. Could keep the ERA down. The whip is the thing. Let's see if he can get that control figured out. Been really good in his last start. Finally giving a little bit of length. He got up to 5 innings against the Braves, 8 strikeouts. I like Andrew Abbott. Of course, his pitch stool is red, so it's going to be tougher in the home starts, but it seems like he's handled it well so far. Let's go out there, add Andrew Abbott. Once again, 41% owned on Yahoo. Cincinnati Reds starting pitcher. Yeah, he was a top prospect too at one point.
Yeah, no, he's great. I agree with everything you said. And quite honestly, I think he can handle any team at this point in time. It's just, whip concerns. But hey, man, I think he's turned the corner. He showed a lot of bright spots last year, and just, obviously dealt with a little bit of, I feel, rookie blues where like, hey, I got in my head a little bit, but this year he's coming out with vengeance, looking real good, real stout. So Andrew Abbott, I think, is definitely an ad this year. Let's talk about Mr. Tomoyuki Sugano, or Sugano, or however you say this. Sugano. Okay, that's good.
Too close.
So close. But yeah, playing for those Baltimore Orioles, honestly looking really good. Last start against the Angels went 7 deep, got the win, 5 Ks, a 1.23 ERA with a .41 WHIP, got the quality start. Week before, I handled Kansas City with 6, got 4 Ks, a 3 ERA with 1 WHIP. And then again, handled the Yankees for 5, got the win, 8 Ks, no earned runs, a 1.2 WHIP. Kid is just looking good. Like straight up, like season stats are looking fantastic. Sub 3 at 2.72. You're just not getting the K per inning. That's really just where you're at. He's definitely about halfway under it, which, hey, it is what it is. He's never going to be an innings eater either. So the upside is a little bit capped. But a guy that's producing these kind of numbers on a team that I like that can produce wins, I think needs to be added literally everywhere. Sugano needs to just be added. It's so interesting to see a guy like him really do it. I mean, his four-seam fastball is sitting at 92 miles an hour, even though it's averaging, 89. He's got a split finger that's sitting at 87, and that has a batting average of 200. His sweeper has a batting average of 176, and that's thrown at 82 miles an hour. He's just looking real good. He's got a cutter, he's got a curveball, he's got a sinker. All those things are doing well except for the curveball and sinker, but he leans on those about like 12%, 11% of the time, which is just for a little bit of like a mix up. And I think that those will improve as well. Everything for Sugano is just pointing in the up arrow direction. So need to add him literally everywhere if you can.
Yeah, Matt. You know what the funny thing is? I feel like we talked about Sugano. Might have even been last week. If not, it was 2 weeks ago. We were telling everybody to add him. We added him ourselves. We practiced where we preach. We added him in our listener league. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and he's just been. He's been fairly dominant. Doesn't strike guys out. As Matt was talking about. But he's like that prime Kyle Hendricks, kind of guy. He's going to give you a low ERA. The whip's really good. And if you don't know about Tomoyuki Sugano, he's 35 years old. He's been around a long time in Japan. Spent a long time being an all-star over there. One of the best pitchers, over there in Japan. Always been good with the whip. Like I said, never really had some good strikeout seasons over there. But you know what? It's tough to come over to the States and have the same success with strikeouts unless you're like a Yamamoto or, Haruki Kuroda, one of those guys that come over here and just strike everybody out. But you know what? There's still a use for a guy like Sugano on every team, as Matt mentioned. He's 36% owned on Yahoo. He pitches for Baltimore, pretty solid team, going to get you some wins. Already got 4 on the season. There's no reason not to go out there at Sugano universally until he proves us wrong. It should be 90+% owned for Tomoyuki Sugano, Baltimore Orioles starting pitcher. All right, let's move into potentially our last guy of the day. Another guy we've talked about, in recent weeks, but there's been some controversy over there in Detroit. It's Will Vest. If you ask me, they're sharing the closer's role over there. It's Canely, it's Vest, but they're both getting enough work that they both need to be owned. Will Vest is only 26% owned on Yahoo. Detroit's been awesome this year, guys. What are we doing? Vest, literally his last 2 outings on May 9th, got the save, strikeout, no earned runs, no walks or hits. And then he got the win at Colorado on May 7th. 2 innings, win, 2 strikeouts, had a few base runners, but it's not killing you, especially it's over 2 innings. So if he's not getting the save, he's in position to get wins. I really like Will Vest. He's been awesome this year. He's got good stuff. 4 saves on the year for Vest, 2 wins, 2.12 ERA, clean 1 whip, 17 innings, 19 strikeouts. And once again, this is a guy getting saves on one of the best teams in baseball right now, and he's only 26% owned on Yahoo. I don't know what's going on with that right now, but we need to get it corrected because, like I said, if he's not even getting you the save, he's in position to get you the win as well.
Yeah, I mean, you said it well. Like, he's getting in they might be sharing the love a little bit, but I mean, it's not like what's his name? Tommy Canhill. Kaylee. God, I can't pronounce anything today. Is getting saves either. He has 3 saves over the month and Vest has 4. Vest just happens to have, just as many one more than he had over the last week. So it's a crapshoot, but you know what? Like, who cares? Honestly, add them both if you can. And you kind of just roster both. It doesn't matter. Like I roster sometimes, 3 to 4 if I can, if I'm able to find it. So as long a save's a save, no matter how you slice it and dice it. So and then Bolton just getting the potential to have all the closers, all the save opportunities from the Detroit Tigers is key. I don't even want to try and pronounce that guy's name again, but he's also 26% owned.
Tommy Kingley. That's a bonus head.
Yeah. How do we spell that real quick so I can just get that? Here we go.
Kahncley. L. There's N in there somewhere.
Yes.
Keenly.
And he's 34% owned. So in a lot of leagues, he's going to, they're both available, and therefore just take the whole, the whole,
Yeah, it's like
what's the word? Yeah.
if you have Best and Canely, it's like arguably the best closer in baseball. Like the kind of production you're going to get between the both of them. You're going to get the wins, you're going to get the saves, you're going to get the strikeouts, the good ERA, the good WHIP. Matt, I love that idea of if they're both out there in the league, you take them both, and then you have one monster closer.
Yeah. So that's really just where it is. Might as well just do it. That's how I look at it. But
Do it.
That is
Just
all
do
for
it.
today. Do it now. All right, guys. Please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, do everything you can to share this show. Sorry for the delayed in the episode. We'll be one short this week. You're going to be getting 5 and 5 over the next couple of weeks. We're going to figure that one out. But yeah, stay tuned for that. When you're done, check out our boy Sully over at Locked On MLB. Have a great rest of your week. Peace.
Sure.